Welcome to this very special edition of Diary of a Micro-Budget Filmmaker. For those of you who come to this because you saw the keyword like DaVinci Resolve or Blackmagic or something, I'll mention a few of the lenses I've been using or whatever. For the movie that I've made, it's shot, but it's not finished. We're still editing it. Have not a long ways to go, but still, as they say, and as I've learned over the years, the last 10% can easily take as long as the first 90%. So we're hoping it's going to be done in the spring. But in the meantime, I kept promising the people who have subscribed to this, if they're at all interested, I talk about the equipment I use, and I really haven't very much. I'm not, my background, even though I've used cameras and shot and edited and done all the, sound, lighting, everything for many, many years, I'm not really like a super gearhead. I'm not super deep. I'm more of a jack of all trades, coincidentally. My knowledge is very broad, I would say, and deep only on a few things, and maybe not all that deep on even those. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So this is kind of, I'm going to try to make it as practical as possible and not get into a bunch of theory and whatever. So number one, I did a lot of research, and I think because at work, where I work, we have a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K camera. And so I started using it and I really liked it. It's not, I don't know what I liked about it. I think I like the big touchscreen on the back. I liked obviously the colors and the that you could shoot in RAW and then do your own color grading and correction and stuff like that. But I don't know, just something, maybe the name, I don't know. I used to do magic when I was growing up, and so kind of the culture around the company, and then of course DaVinci Resolve, the regular, or I should say the free version. I started using that about five and a half years ago when I had to do a project at home and I didn't have access to the Adobe suite, which I've been using for a long time. I'll talk about that later. So anyways, I was prejudiced, and I was pretty sure from the beginning that I would be using this Blackmagic. It doesn't show up very well because it's black and because it's magic. So I was pretty sure that I was going to buy this, and I ended up getting it on eBay from a guy who didn't really use it very much from the looks of it when I got it. So I got the camera, I got the cage, which comes in handy, although I have to say I didn't use it a ton. I've got a follow focus here. It's a manual one. I don't know when I'll get into all that. That I didn't end up using much, but we left the cage on the camera kind of as a protection thing and just because it kind of looks cool. So we've got a cage. It came with a cage. It came with the actual battery, the Blackmagic battery, which, it lasts about an hour. You're not going to get much more than an hour out of it. And then he had 3 or 4 really cheap, I can't even remember what they're called, batteries that were basically useless. That's fine. I don't know if there was anything else, but to me, it was a good value. Of course, what I didn't get was the $295 DaVinci Studio version. I ended up having to buy that. Did I get a slight discount on that? Seems like I got like a $10 discount or something. So I spent, no secrets, I guess I spent, I think this lists at, I haven't looked at the list lately, $2,800, $2,900. And then the whole thing with the tariffs, when I was looking to buy this, which was like last July, it was a little bit, I should go check on B&H's website and see. But so I got this for, after the shipping and tax, like $2,200. So it's probably about $1,000 less, but then you take off the DaVinci, and so it was $700 less, but then you add in a couple of other things and whatever. It was a pretty good value. It's a heavy camera. I've got a Canon T2i, And after using this, I picked up that little Canon for something, and I'm like, is this even a real camera? Because it's such a toy. But so what I like about it, some people don't like this. You know, it still looks like a DSLR, which I guess technically it is. Although you can shoot photos, but it's really not meant to shoot photos. Um, but I don't mind this form factor of holding it here. I mean, you can't hold it, you can't hand hold this for very long because, especially once you put on a lens, it gets heavy quick. But I was kind of familiar with the controls. The 4K does not have this, and it's not a complete. You know, you can't swing it out this way, but it's enough that if you've got it really high, you can have it like this so you can see it better, or you can, pull it just a little enough to make it usable. But this touchscreen is just crazy. Oh, look at that. I can see myself. Um, I don't know if this has any battery power in it right now. Yeah, I guess it does have a little. So the touchscreen is great. Um, accessing the menu is just so easy. I'm not going to go through a whole tutorial, but you can't even read that, I'm sure, because of whatever. But it's so easy and so quick to operate, and it's got so many cool things, some of which we didn't use in the movie. Like, you can actually mark good takes. You can change the file name. You can like type in, scene 1, take 2, or whatever. We unfortunately we had plans to do that, but we did not. It has false color, which is cool if you know anything about false color. Again, I hate to say it, but we didn't really use it. We should have, but we didn't. But I just really like it. I really like it. I bought the camera. I had the one battery, and then I quickly realized the 3 or 4 batteries that I got with it were just, a step up from junk. They maybe would last 10 or 15 minutes. So I had to bite the bullet. And so the question was, do I buy 2 more of the batteries, which are just, the batteries that fit in the thing like this, which are 75 or 80 bucks. Do I buy 2 more real, actual good batteries? Do I buy like a power pack that goes underneath and you can put in more batteries or special batteries? Or exactly what do I do? And so that was a big thing, because the last thing you want to do, obviously, especially on a tight budget in terms of money and in terms of a shooting schedule, is get somewhere and then literally run out of battery power. And so what I ended up doing was buying 2 more regular batteries. So that's 3 hours. And then you can put it on the charger. But the charger that the guy sent me, I don't know if it's a bad charger or just they take that long to charge. But man, they take way, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours to charge, I feel like. So our workflow was we would start the day with 3 good batteries, use the first one, switch, put the other one on the charger, switch. And then by that time, hopefully, because, you're setting up shots, you're taking breaks, you're doing all that. It's not like you're sticking a battery in and then filming for 3 straight hours. So in that way, my thought was we could shoot for at least half a day on 3 batteries, and then they would be recharging, and, we could turn them over and not have a problem. And the other good thing is there was only one day we shot entirely outside, and that was only really about a half a day. And so we did not have the luxury of being able to put a battery on a charger. So that got a little bit dicey. I mean, we were literally turning off the camera between takes and making sure that we would have enough to last us, which, as it turned out, we did. And I think we used probably 2.5 batteries worth. So that was the only real dicey day. But when we shot inside, I don't know if this is embarrassing to say or not, but we frequently plugged it in. Nothing fancy. I think this is like a 6-foot cable. And then of course we had an extension cord, but we had the majority of our shots were locked down or, on a tripod and not moving around a lot. So we had the luxury of being able to use AC power. And I bet we had the camera plugged in maybe half the time or more. Again, that may seem sort of like, wow, you plugged in your camera. That's kind of low tech. That's sort of redneck or whatever. But you do what you have to do, and we did it. So if I did it again, aka when I make the next movie, because I'm pretty sure we're going to use this camera again. I don't know why we wouldn't. It's you know, let's just pretend you're going to make a movie that's all outside, or where you don't have access to electricity, or you don't want to have to be married or cabled to an AC outlet, even with an extension cord. Because I'm just thinking, we shot a lot of outdoor scenes with like a 50-foot extension cord. So, that's kind of funny to think about that. So, if I had all the money in the world, I'd just buy a bunch more batteries. But I think you could reasonably, and I not necessarily a big fan of adding a bunch more stuff to the camera. I mean, you can put the cage on and you can add batteries and you could probably get 3 or 4 hours. But when you're shooting a feature film, it's not like you're shooting a documentary and you're out in the wild and you've got to have the camera on for 3 hours because you've got some crazy pygmy frogs or something doing something. And so you've got control over your power and over your shooting. So, long way of saying, I would probably buy 2 more batteries and just switch them and then just keep them charging. And I can't imagine a scenario where, unless you had a 10-hour day that was super intense in shooting, that you would run out of battery. So, and again, this is budget, micro budget filmmaking. So an $80 battery is a big deal. But I think if I had 2 more of those, that would be good. One of the other things I did is I sprung for this little viewfinder because it does not come with it. This is the piece that you put on it when the viewfinder's not on. Wow, this focus is not great. There we go. So you typically put this on, this would go here, and then you wouldn't have a viewfinder. And then with the viewfinder comes a bunch of like 4 different eyepieces, which is cool because you've got a left one, a right one, sort of a generic one, and then a very small one. And I am a big proponent of the viewfinder. Now, having said that, this costs like 400 and something, 425, and I got it off eBay, so maybe, I don't know if it was used though, it may have been new, but it was like $100 cheaper. And so, besides the obvious thing that you can really block out the light when you're outside and even when you're inside. Now, and again, the other reason is for someone who cannot see like super up close like this, to look at focus, even though you've got focus assist on here, you just get a much better sense of what it's going to look like. I think the resolution's only 1280 by 720, so you're not getting anywhere near 6K resolution. You're getting like a poor man's version of high def, but it's good enough, and the colors are fine. And I think the lighting through here is more a representation than what it is on here. Although you can boost up the brightness on that, and it would probably give you a better representation. So at first, when I first used this, I was like, yeah, I think I wasted my money. But the more I used it and the more I got used to it, the more that I'm glad that I got it. So I would say if you feel like you can spend $400 on something that's going to get you farther down the road, maybe not get it, but otherwise, I'm glad I have it. Let's just say that, and the expense is over, and there we go. So the lens that we use the most, I'm sorry that these are not, I'm trying to get more contrast here. This is, what is this? This is the Sigma 18 to 35. I think it's a 1.8, I think 1.8 aperture. This was, I would say, the workhorse lens. We probably use this Um, 50%. Wow. Yeah, maybe not 50%, but we use this quite a bit. It's kind of the go-to lens. I'm not, I saw myself again. Again, I'm not a big lens expert, but it worked well. I don't know what more to say other than I would definitely recommend it. We did not, I think, I think we only actually used the zoom as in zooming in during a shot, maybe once or twice, which I think is common. I mean, you get prime lenses, you can't zoom, but if you get zoom lenses or telephoto lenses, that doesn't mean that you need to use them to zoom during the shot. It just gives you, and it was funny because we usually shot at around 18 or 20 or 24, and then once in a while we'd shoot at 30 or 35, just kind of the way it worked out. But yeah, I would definitely get that lens again. I got that off eBay too. I don't remember. It wasn't very used again, and I really, I could say count my blessings, I guess. I had good luck, not luck, but I had good outcomes on eBay. The other thing, another lens I got after I mistakenly bought a wrong lens that didn't fit the camera, and I was so mad because I had to sell it at like, it ended up being like $150 loss. Don't remind me. So I got at what the lens I should have got the first time is this one, and I think you can probably read that for yourself. I guess it's pronounced Mikey. A prime 50 millimeter prime lens, like 2.2, 2.1. Super nice lens. The aperture is like a consistent one, so it's not like you have to click, 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 click. So you can just dial in exactly what you need. Super nice. This is a heavy lens, and it's got a nice gear on here. So if you do have follow focus, what didn't work out about the follow focus. So I bought this as a separate thing, and I think it retails for like, I don't know, 85, and I got it for 50 or whatever, off eBay again. What is good about it, obviously, running out of room, is you put it, you hook it up to the cage and you get on the camera and blah, blah, blah. And then you can turn it, and you can set these, which is cool. If you have a near focus and a far focus, you can move these little dials around and then screw them in like this. So that's your one. And then you go to the other and you set that. So that works really well. And if you have a lens with a wide gear, which I don't know if you can see or not, but this piece right here, you put that against there. And when you have a big one, it is a nice solid connection and it turns really well. So that's the good news. When you have a lens like this that doesn't have it, you have to slip on a little gear ring, I think it's called, and then you can tighten it, or you can get specific ones for certain millimeters and put it on. And then it works good. It doesn't work great, I wouldn't say. And if I had to do it again, and again, if I had $200 or $300 at the time, I probably would have bought an electronic one. So, but when you use a manual one on a tripod or whatever, even if you have the tripod locked down and you have a nice heavy camera and everything, sometimes when you're pulling focus, you will see just a tiny bit of jitter. And you could probably get rid of that in post by stabilizing. But we racked a few times. We did it by hand a few times. We used this a few times. We could have used it more. I don't know. Was not as useful as I thought it was going to be. So it's okay, but I don't know. Again, for the money, it's probably worth having. All right, next lens is this lens with a name that I'm sure I can pronounce if I felt like it. Tikana, something like that. This is a 11 to 16. So this Blackmagic camera has a Super 35 sensor, and it crops, and I know something about the optics and about the mathematics, but basically what they say is if you're using whatever millimeter lens you're using, you have to multiply it by 1.6 to get the actual focal distance, or not focal distance, but the actual equivalent to a full frame camera. So if you had a 10 millimeter lens on this camera, it would, and multiply by 1.6, that's 16 millimeters. So it's the equivalent of using a 16 millimeter lens. The point being that in some of the spaces we shot, I was not sure that 18 millimeters would be wide enough. So we bought this lens. And I should say, we use this lens obviously for a lot of the close-ups, the singles, some of the two shots when people are standing next to each other. And it is a nice, wow, it's nice. So we use that the next most for sure, whenever we could. This one we didn't have to use much, and I mean, it's a fine lens. Obviously, you don't, at least I like the shallow depth of field look. Some people don't. Steven Spielberg doesn't. But it worked fine. We used it, I think, in the car for a couple of car shots. Maybe a couple shots where we just were in a tight area and we needed it. So that worked fine. One lens that I don't have here is a 85 millimeter that we use, but I don't always have it here because Brett kind of keeps it with his still camera that he uses to take still photography. But I mean, it's that old Canon T2i, but that's a really nice lens. But 85, when you're shooting mostly interiors, it's hard to get the distance back needed to really take advantage of that. So we didn't use it a whole lot, but it was the Rokinon or whatever it's called. I'm not very good at it. So that was a good lens. The lens we used sparingly because it's a 70-200. This is another Sigma, a 2.8. This is a lens that I don't know about inherited. I was gifted to it by a guy's wife after he unfortunately passed away at a young age. And she just one day said, "Jack, hey, come over and see what's here." And so I told her what she should keep. And then she goes, "If you want anything else, take it." So eternally grateful for that. We use this obviously outside and maybe for four to five shots, gorgeous shots, which you will see when you see the movie, which I know you will. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lenses, and I would say we didn't need this. We didn't need the 70-200 because, I mean, we didn't, but it was great to have. So I'm glad we did. I would say 5 lenses. So I should say, in other words, because I had to buy 4 of the lenses. No, I only had to buy 3 of the lenses. I think you could easily, well, depending what kind of movie you're shooting, if you're shooting a big, expansive one in the outdoors and you need a long lens for whatever reason, yeah, you would need another lens. For shooting interiors or just kind of medium, I think you could definitely get away with 3 lenses, maybe even 2 lenses, depending again on your space that you have on interiors or the look you're going for. You may not even need the super wide lens. But I got the 3 lenses that I had to buy. I bought all off of eBay, had very good success with them, great sellers, great shipment. Lenses look great. So 100% happy with that. So the next thing I would show you is people say, how important is sound, Jack? Well, it's super important. This is a Zoom H4n that I've had for a long time, 16, 17 years. And I don't remember, I think on the movie, we use one basically just like this, but a slightly newer version. It takes 2 XLRs. We use 2 wireless lavs on 1 shot, maybe 2 shots, but mostly we used a shotgun, a Sennheiser. or a Shure. Gosh, I should know that. I don't have it here with me because I do not own it, but it was a good microphone. But this worked fine for what it is. Put in one SD card, lasts you all day, so that works well. And the only other stuff that I wanted to show is if you have a tripod wheels. I don't know what the official name of this is. I just happened to kind of come in to inherit a few of those. And even if you're not, I mean, you can use them for dolly shots, but unless you have a super smooth floor, they're not going to work that great. But just to put the tripod on that and be able to move it quickly from place to place without having to pick it up. If you can find one for either cheap or free or something, or someone that you know has one that it wants to be on your movie, I would definitely recommend that. And then the other thing, which we didn't use very much, I think we only used it like 3 or 4 times. I used this almost exclusively for the previous movie I made, The Key, which is available on Amazon. Thank you very much. And speaking of that, every quarter or every month, I think every quarter, Amazon pays me for the views that it gets. I think I got $1.08. I just checked my statement this morning because I keep wondering. I keep asking my wife, and she said, Jack, it's not worth me looking it up. So over the course of the year, I probably make $8 or $10. But after this, you're going to all watch it. So anyways, this was like a handmade thing, literally handmade. I don't know where I got this iron, but I bent it with my massive muscles. Then I put these foam grips on it and then put some screws in it. And then there's a screw here, which goes into the base of the camera. And then there's this little pad for your shoulder, and there's little extra pads here. So basically you go like this, and it's amazing how steady of a shot you can get. I mean, it's not a steady cam by any means, but it's amazing how good of a shot you can get. And we used it when we had to be on a bed in the corner. You know, you can take it and just like hold it like this, or, you know, put it up against your stomach or whatever. So you can probably just see how easy relatively it was to put together. And it's the one piece of homemade tech that worked pretty well. Wow, I guess I figured this would be like a 3-hour video, but it's not even 30 minutes. So that's all the equipment I used. Everything, in case you're wondering, that I had to buy. So the camera, 3 lenses, the viewfinder, the follow focus, batteries. Oh, I had to buy a CFast card. Wow, I didn't have to, but I guess that's another thing to talk about. The CFast card, do I have it in here? Whoops. Oh, I had to buy a reader too. So the CFast card, which you probably know, is one of the 3 storage options that you have on the camera. Where is that card? It's not good. It's got to be somewhere. So this is the reader, the CFast reader, just in case you're wondering. Come on, focus. Oh, here it is. So this was like $80 or something like that. Again, I think I had to buy that new because those are kind of a specialty item. This is it's a 512 gigabyte card, and it goes in the side of the camera. So this is like $400 or something like that. I don't know if you went and priced one today, what it would cost. SanDisk, but we never had any problems with it. Worked like a champ. One day we were running a little short because, again, $400. I only bought one of these. It was a little tight, and we did have to take files onto a laptop. I brought a hard drive and all that stuff. So while we were eating lunch, I did that. And because when you shoot 6K, you burn up space fast, but super fast speed. Your other options are using a solid state drive, which you can plug right into the camera, and then you have to have a bracket. And I was not up for that or down for that at all. The other thing you can do is use an SD card, and you can use a really fast one, but not recommended. For 4K, yes, obviously HD, 100% good. 4K, I've done it and it's okay at work, but I've never tried it and I wouldn't try it with 6K. So back to the total I spent. I'm not looking at my spreadsheet right now, but it was so probably for the hardware, maybe in the low $4,000 range. The camera was roughly 2,100. The lenses were anywhere from 150 to like 450. That CFast card, the viewfinder, yeah, probably around in the low 4,000s, which was about a third of the budget of the movie so far. So you add software to that, and then you add the expenses of making the movie, paying some of the actors, whatever else. So the good news is for the next movie we make, I've already got $4,000 worth of stuff that I don't have to buy again. So that's pretty cool. All right. I think that's a little over 30 minutes, and that's probably enough. I will talk about DaVinci Resolve versus Final Cut Pro on one more video that I'll make at some point. But right now, I need to go eat lunch. I hope you found this interesting. If you did, leave a comment or just a thumbs up and subscribe as a bonus. If you know of someone who is thinking about making a movie, I would very much appreciate it, and so would they if you told them about this video. I guess in terms of recommending this camera, one, for this use, 100%. There's stuff you could say about the camera that's not perfect, and it doesn't have this and it doesn't have dynamic range and blah blah blah. But if you're going to be shooting all your scenes at midnight, with a little tiny fire or a match or something, no, I probably wouldn't buy this camera. But for what we needed it for, it worked great. I love it. The built-in ND filters came in very handy. So I am not being paid yet by Blackmagic, but Blackmagic, if you want to reach out to me and give me a couple of your other cameras that I can try, I would very much appreciate that and would take them, no questions asked. So yeah, there's, I would say, nothing other than that wrong lens I bought, which was 100% my fault. No lemons other than that. Some stuff I might not necessarily buy again, but it's a learning experience. There we go. That is that. If you've got any questions, leave them somewhere and I will try to answer them. And tell me what kind of equipment you're thinking of buying. Because, I looked at Sony, kind of, the FX3, I think it is, that they supposedly shot most of whatchamacallit on. Great camera. There's a lot of great cameras. You can't go wrong. This, frankly, the price was the number one thing. Quality and price, I would say, hand in hand. I just like I said, I like the company. I like Blackmagic. I like the editing program with some reservations, which I will speak of when I talk about that. But for now, I've already said thanks, so I'll see you around.